Hey guys, I just wanted to give a quick overview of Druid and how to heal in raids with it. This has been my experience and the information that I've gathered on how to do it properly and what would work best. So the first thing you want to make sure you have is a staff. Then you want to verify the stats. Keeper's Spire is Zealot stats. I think that's the best one you can get, but if you can't get this one, you can just use Yggdrasil with Magi's stats. That won't be that bad off. It'll lower your DPS slightly, but you're the healer, we don't care about your DPS. Then you're going to want full Magi's armor with monk runes. That's going to give you the most optimal healing that you can bring. That's a full set of it. Then, if you can push harder on the DPS, you're going to want Zealot's armor, but for the most part, you're going to want to stick with Magi's because it'll get healing done better. Then you're going to want 2 Cleric's rings for the healing power. It kind of sucks because it gives you toughness, but your tank should be above you in the large majority of cases, and if they're not, you're not going to be using this build anyhow. Then I personally run a Berserker's backpack with Berserker's trinkets as well. And I use a Celestial Amulet because I have it. It saved me from buying a Cleric's neck, but if you don't have a necklace, it won't hurt to not have it. The next important thing would be your traits. For sure you want Skirmishing. You're going to be taking Sharpened Edges, Spotter, and Quick Draw. You want Spotter because it gives your entire party an additional 7% critical chance, and that's huge. Quick Draw because the other 2 alternatives are nothing. You're not going to use them. Then you're going to be bringing Druid, of course, so that you can heal. It also gives you the ability to use a staff. You're going to take Primal Echoes because it reduces the cooldowns on all of your skills. This will help your Ancestral Grace cooldowns so that you can always make green circles all the way across the arena. It's a 1200 range teleport. It'll also reduce the cooldown of Astral Wisp. That will make sure that you always have a heal on melee group, even when you're not using your pet. The next important thing would be Verdant Etching. This gives you a reduced cooldown on your glyphs, and it gives you Seed of Life on every glyph cast. You have 4 of them, so that'll yield 4 extra heals. Pairing with that is you use Grace of the Land. That gives those Seed of Lives something to do. It gives your entire party a 15% damage boost. And then the last thing would be Nature Magic. I take Instinctive Reaction because it gives you quickness so that you can get out of any teleports or anything else that could go wrong, as you'll drop HP and then you'll hit the quickness, and that will give you a 50% cooldown reduction on your Ancestral Grace and allow you to get back almost immediately. The next thing would be Vigorous Training. That's not super important, but there's no alternative, as you get Evasive Purity, which is useless because you don't get those conditions during the raid, and Windborne Notes is useless as you do not use a Warhorn and you do not have Call of the Wild. The last note for traits would be Nature's Vengeance. This gives you Might Generation on your Frost Spirit that you're bringing anyhow, and as for the alternatives, having the 5 stacks of Might that it brings is more important than having nothing. Now, as for your skills, you're going to be bringing Glyph of Rejuvenation. This does the exact opposite of what it does during Celestial Avatar. So, you heal yourself outside for 6k, and when you pop into Celestial Avatar, you heal everybody around you for 6k. So, depending on the situation, that 20-second cooldown is short enough for you to use it every time somebody needs a heal. And you can determine whether or not to use it on yourself just by popping into Celestial Avatar. Glyph of Tides is going to be your second glyph. This is for pushing back Seekers. It's on a 20-second cooldown, so you should always have it up whenever you're using it on the green circles. Glyph of Empowerment is a flat damage increase of 10% for 5 targets. You're going to want to blow this every time you can. Either drop it on melee and get your Seed of Life to go off and give them an additional 3% on top of that, or you're going to want to drop it on the green circle group the moment it goes off to give them a bonus 1000 heal. But Glyph of the Tides is something you really want to avoid using during Celestial Avatar because it's a pull. The skill gets flipped around and it will pull the Seekers into you and kill the entire green group. It's very, very deadly. The next thing that you would have is your elite skill. That is Glyph of Unity. What this does is it tethers everybody that you hit with it for a 600 range leash. Every time you heal yourself, you heal everybody that you leash to. So what I usually do is right before we get hit by the green circle, I will pop into Celestial Avatar and throw out Glyph of Unity. This gives everybody a heal the moment I take damage from the green circle. If we're stacked on Seekers or we're stacked in a lit section, this also means that I can pump out about 5,000 heals per second to 5 other people. So that covers the majority of your skill bar. The last bit of information that you would need would be Berserker's Longbow with a Sigil of Force. The second sigil can be up to you. I personally prefer accuracy, but that's just because I run it in my Berserker's build. You'll use that for the extra damage. That means you can drop Barrage with a 2.5 second cast that throws out a fair share of DPS. You can throw out a Rapid Fire. Both of those together will generate you Astral Force, so that you can use Celestial Avatar again, and then you can immediately swap back into Staff. That'll give you Quick Draw. That will reduce the cooldown of your next ability by 66% when you swap back into Staff. I personally use it for Ancestral Grace exclusively. Now in Celestial Avatar, the way you use this is you would spend it, you'd cast, and then this ticks down slowly. So you would use Rejuvenating Tides for a group heal. You would use Lunar Impact for a strong heal on the melee group, or right after you finish your green circle. That'll give you a group heal for a fair share of health. The number 2 skill in Celestial Avatar is the Seed of Life, the same thing that you drop down from your glyphs. That will give you the little seed that drops and then explodes, and I believe it is a 1.5 second proc before it heals. This will heal 5 targets and give you a light field so that you can throw out some retaliation. And then you can use the 1 skill while your number 2 skill's on cooldown while waiting for your 3 and 4 to come back. And then during raids as a healer, you would not use the number 5 skill in Celestial Avatar as it does damage and doesn't do much for you. So the next important part of being a ranger would be your pets. I personally run the Fernhound because it heals. It throws out a 2000 heal regeneration, and it gives you a 1000 heal point blank in melee. So you'll have this pet sitting on the boss pretty much all the time, and all you have to do is tap F2 every 25 seconds. This will give you a rough heal on the melee group without you having to do anything extra. It takes 0 effort on your part. If you do not need this, you would use a Tiger, and the Tiger would give the melee group Fury. This is 15 seconds of Fury on a 10 second cooldown. That gives your melee group permanent Fury. If you don't need that, because you have a Herald who can provide Fury, you would bring a Bristleback and he'll just do damage for you. Now for your alternative pet, I personally bring the Lightning Wyvern, because the Lightning Wyvern gives you break damage. I don't know if he's currently broken or if this is an intentional mechanic or what the situation is on it, but he can do 827 break bar damage. That's 8/10 of the break bar on Vale Guardian. Sometimes it doesn't do this full 800 damage to the break bar. Sometimes it only does 227, but I've seen him take out the large majority of the break bar on his own. So in my opinion, he's needed as a pet for the break bar, but if you did not need the extra break damage, I would run a tiger and a bristleback, or a tiger and the fernhound. Then every moment you can, you're pretty much going to want to use lightning assault and switch pets immediately, and then he'll be back off cooldown the next time you need to break. So you'll have the 20 seconds of pet swap, and you'll swap those every chance you get to have the lightning wyvern ready to do lightning assault, and your second pet ready to be a damage pet or a healing pet, whichever you need. Now the last thing would be your healing rotation. It is mostly just auto attack on Vale Guardian and Gorseval. Then you'll throw out Astral Wisp every chance you get. Every time it's off cooldown, you're putting it on the boss. And you're using Ancestral Grace to throw yourself into the green circles or heal on the green circles. You don't really want to be using this outside of that application, because then it won't be ready the next time you need it. You can use Vine Surge to add a slight bit of break damage. It's not very strong, but it is something. It also adds a very small amount of damage. The number 5 skill is currently not used on Vale Guardian or Gorseval, and I don't have the knowledge of healing during Sabetha, so I can't comment on that. But as it stands, you currently don't use Sublime Conversion in the raid. I think that pretty much covers how to run a healer in raids as a druid. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. I will try and answer them as best as I can. If you have any criticisms or feedback towards my build, I would be happy to listen to them. Hopefully we can see you around as a healer doing a good job.